Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananchalashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Gurudev, everyone. Happy Mahashivratri. Nice to see so many happy faces. So, today we have a very special project that's very dear to Guruji and very dear to all of us as devotees, because this topic is, if not one of our main sadhanas in Bhakti Marga, is to chant the name of the divine. And it's probably what Guruji has stressed the most in all of his teachings over so many years, so many decades. And so I was quite excited when I was asked to speak about this topic, because it's very dear also to me personally, especially because we're speaking about Ram in this lecture today. But we don't only speak about Ram, but generally about chanting the holy name. Generally about repeating and having the divine in our daily life. And chanting the holy name is the easiest that we can have. Guruji has given us so many sadhanas, so many practices, how we can deepen our relationship with him and with the divine. But chanting is the easiest, and for me, the most profound that he's given. If it's in the form of chanting or singing, it's essentially the same. It's about repeating and the holy name and internalizing this relationship that we have with the Guru and with God. And so, why do we speak about Ram today on Mahashivratri? Some might wonder. And we will get to the reasons why during today's lecture. But I think many of you can already imagine why. And we have on the cover here a picture of Hanuman. We don't have a picture of Ram. Because today we will not only speak about Ram as the person, but Ram as the name. And we will see some distinguish between the two. So today, some of the things that we will explore is, why do we chant the name of Ram? Why specifically the name of Ram? Then we will speak about topics about the Sanskrit language in general, about the vibrational power of the Sanskrit language. Like Guruji, we will speak about a few stories. Guruji always loves to illustrate his teachings through stories. So we will share a few stories that Guruji has spoken about in many satsangs that he's shared over the years. And then we will end with some of the benefits, which of many we are aware of, and some we might not be aware of. And we will finish with a kirtan and a short meditation, because what does it mean to speak about the holy name and not sing it, no? Guruji loves singing so much, so we have to also end this with some kirtan. So, as all good stories start, we usually with a problem. So what is that problem? We find ourselves on the spiritual path. Often it doesn't matter if we just came on the spiritual path or if we're already on the path for 1 decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, some maybe 4 decades. At some point, we always find ourselves in this cycle where we find the mind to be enslaved by this material world. And so, identifying this problem, we can make ourselves through the journey of finding the solution or making a change. But to make a change, we first need to identify the problem, right? We have the same thing when we in work, when we have life situations, we always need to find the problem first, or identify the problem before we can come to a conclusion, to a solution. And so, specifically for this topic, our mind is always enslaved by our senses. And so the solution is, like we say here, is to transform the senses. It's not to stop living in this world. It's not about stop our senses. It's about transforming them. Because if we try just to drop our attachments, it will never work. You will need to replace them with something good. And so that's why specifically we say here we need to transform, and Guruji speaks about this many, many, many times, that we need to transform our mind truly to change inside. It doesn't matter what we change outside so much, but we need to change internally. We need to align our mind with God, with our heart. And so Krishna speaks about this problem in the Gita, chapter 3, verse 40, and some of the following verses, where he says, the senses, the mind, and the intellect are said to be desires' abode. Through these desires deludes the embodied self by concealing its wisdom. Knowing that which is greater than the intellect, and steadying yourself by spiritual strength, slay this enemy in the form of desire, which is difficult to overcome. So here we see that Krishna clearly says what is the problem. He clearly states that we need to transform. And this is what is holding us back from having this relationship, the true faith and the true relationship with the divine. And in the same chapter, verse 25, he tells us what to do. He says, just as the ignorant act with attachment to their work, so should the wise act without any attachment, thinking only for the welfare of the world. So he says here clearly that to overcome the problem, our attachments, our senses, we must act without attachments. We must act with a mindset of surrender and service, and always thinking about the welfare of the world. Not thinking about ourselves and our own needs, our personal needs, but to think about the welfare of others, which is the true meaning of seva, to serve others. And so the solution here, jumping to chapter 6, verse 5 in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that one should raise oneself by one's own mind and not allow oneself to fall. For a controlled mind is one's friend, but an uncontrolled mind is one's enemy. So we're all aware of this famous verse in the Gita. And he says here in the beginning very clearly that we can raise our own mind. We can raise our own mind. What he says here is that we are, to some extent, in control. Obviously, he's providing everything and he's the ultimate doer, but we are the ones that have to do our effort. Without our own effort, nothing will work and we will not lead anywhere. He can only do so much for us, but we can only truly change if we put our own effort in. The same like Guruji always says, the mother can give the food to the baby. She can feed the baby, but the baby has to swallow it. If the baby doesn't swallow it, the mother can't shove it down the throat of the baby, right? So the same way, we have to put in our effort on the path. That's the only way we can truly change. And so why do we speak about Rāma specifically? Rāma, as a person, has a central figure in Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma is based around righteousness. It's based around good habits, doing well deeds. And Rāma has established or left an example of all of these qualities. And that's why he's still known today. Guruji always says, when we leave this body, what do we leave behind? Which mark do we leave in the world? We always speak about change and doing good, but what do we actually achieve? What do we actually do? And so even all of these thousands and thousands of years, Rama has left these qualities. He's left this high bar of what is right and what is wrong. And that's why he specifically connects with so many people, and he unifies so many people among so many different religions. His name is chanted because he has this symbol, he brings this feeling of unification, this feeling of righteousness, what is right and wrong. And so Rama, not only as the person, but also the name itself, has established this unified feeling, this unified status of righteousness and dedication. And specifically, the Sanskrit language is so beautiful because the Sanskrit words carry a meaning by itself, and they connect the name with the divinity. And Rama is this embodiment of Dharma, this embodiment of the divine qualities that we need to carry to be a better human being. So, the Sanskrit name, carries this vibration. And the object, Rama as a person, brings those qualities to life. The Sanskrit language is the most true to its source. And Rama as the person carries this power of the name and brings us a connection with the person. And so often when we speak about Rama, we must differentiate between the person and the ultimate truth that he carries in the form of the name. The vibration that the name carries in itself carries this ultimate truth that we're all looking for. And so, coming to chanting the name, especially I think for many devotees or non-devotees, we often don't truly understand the true meaning of and the true value of the name, what the name carries. And I feel we often have the misconception that chanting our japam, doing our japam every day, chanting the holy name every day, becomes almost only a sadhana. It becomes, so to say, only a tool to reach the divine. But I think it's very clear that the name of God is God himself. Rama has a personality, a picture, also because of the name. But the name in itself carries so much more, and the name itself is God himself. And so Rama, without the personality, in itself carries the symbol of righteousness beyond his form. And there's a beautiful verse where it says, Rama Rama sabak ko kahe, Rama na jhan kohi, where it says, everyone chants the name of Ram, but only very few truly understand what it means. And here it refers to Rama specifically, but we speak, with Guruji, we speak about any of the divine names, any of the divine forms. Do we actually truly know what they mean? Do we actually truly know the value that they carry? And I think often we take it for granted, me included. Very often we do our japam mechanically, forgetting the value that they carry, forgetting what benefit and what impact that they have in our daily life. And preparing for this talk, I've done many reflections on how the name has impacted on me. And when I really, truly see the impact that the name has is when I'm faced with difficult situations. When I'm faced with problems or hardships, then I can truly know the value and the meaning that the name has. Whenever I'm in distress and we have done our chanting, like Guruji asks, and you can truly make your effort, and you can feel in those situations your mind automatically chanting the holy name, and you automatically calm down, you automatically come back to the heart center instead of the mind center where distress, anger, and all of these things manifest. And so looking at the Ramacharita, I've taken a small excerpt from Valmiki from the Uttarakhand, where he says that men reach the end of mundane existence simply by singing Shri Hari's praises. In the age of Kali, neither yoga, concentration of the mind, nor the performance of sacrifices, nor spiritual wisdom is of any avail. One's only hope lies in hymning Shri Rama's praises. Giving up all other hopes, whoever worships Shri Ram and fondly chants his praises undoubtedly crosses the ocean of transmigration. The power of the name is thus manifested in the age of Kali. So also this we've heard not the first time, but in this age, chanting and singing the holy name is at the same time the most simplest and the most powerful. There you go. And so, what I wanted to focus on in this verse from the Ramacharita is specifically this middle part where it says, giving up all other hopes. Whoever worships the name of Shri Ram fondly chants his praises and undoubtedly crosses the ocean of transmigration. This first part stood out to me very much because over all of these years, when we are with Guruji, we often see people leave. So they come very excited on the spiritual path. Everything is new. Everything is very colorful. A lot of singing, a lot of dancing. A couple of years pass by. They may get challenged from Guruji or the Sangha once or twice. And so often it happens that people leave. So it might be that they're physically close to Guruji, or that they not be. But often, especially when they're close to us, and they leave Guruji, for whatever reason it might be, we start to reflect on ourselves. Why do people leave the spiritual path? If we know that this is truly what is going to bring us to the ultimate. Guruji, in my many years of experience, knows what is right and what is wrong for us. And he knows that for each individual person. And many of the people leaving have personally stated that they also know that Guruji knows what's right and wrong. But then why so often are we so afraid? Why do we have so many fears that ultimately may or may not challenge us to a point that we are leaving the spiritual path? And so this made me reflect and think, what truly makes us change? What truly makes us have this faith or establish this faith that there is no way that we can leave him or the path? And the answer that came to me is that we cannot leave any doors open. Like it says here, giving up all other hopes. If we leave any doors open or any exit routes open, there's always a chance that we may leave the spiritual path. And who knows if we have the grace again, or when we have the grace again to try again, to have this relationship with the divine. The rarity that we have as devotees to be in the presence of a living master is so rare if we look at all of the thousands and thousands of years that have passed, it's such a rare opportunity that we have, and that we should take not for granted. And so, for me, truly looking at myself and understanding, do I have any doors open where I could run out to? Or have I closed all of the doors to be able to stay whichever challenge might face? And I think we must face ourselves with these challenges and really not shy away from them. And so when we look at the Ramayana, the example that comes to mind for me is Vibhishana. So Vibhishana is the brother of Ravan. And as we know, he, in many ways, betrayed Ravana. Because he told him, Shri Ram is the Lord himself. He's Mahavishnu himself. You cannot win. And so Vibhishana left his brother and he went to take shelter of Shri Ram. And the same way, he did not leave any doors open. He fully went to Shri Ram and surrendered to him. And in the same way, we can only do the same if we have this surrender with our full heart and not leave any doors open. So, the same with Vibhishana. Hanuman found him because he was chanting the name of Ram. He was chanting with so much faith and love that even Hanuman was astonished. And so, the same way, we must feed our mind with the right things. So we must constantly chant the name of Ram. We must constantly chant the name Shivita Giridhari Prabhamane Namah that Guruji has given us. So here's a really beautiful reference from the Guru Granth Sahib where it says, Ram Ram Rasa Pije Mana Mere, which says that drink the nectar of the name of Ram, O mind. We need to fill this mind that is like a sponge. The mind is like a tool that we need to give the right toys to. If we have the wrong habits, the wrong attitudes, we need to replace them with something good and something beneficial. And so what we feed the mind is very important. We need to give it the right tools to truly transform. And we need to truly understand the value that the holy name carries. Hanumanji was fully absorbed in the name of Shri Ram. Vibhishana was fully absorbed in the name of Shri Ram. Bharata was completely immersed in the name of Shri Ram. And all of these examples have fully immersed themselves into the name. And there was a story that Guruji shared a few times. I don't remember the name of the exact details, but there was a king that visited a sadhu, and that sadhu was in deep samadhi. He was meditating. And so the king was very impatient, one quality we need to work on our path. And so he tried to make noises, he tried to kind of get the attention of the sadhu, but he was in samadhi, he was not to be disturbed. And he was waiting and waiting, and eventually the son of the sadhu came, and so the king approached the son as the next best option, so to say, because he was not patient. And the son was very happy to help him. He was very excited that he could share what he has learned from his father. And so the king asked him what he should do. And the son of the sadhu said, chant the name with faith 3 times. Chant the name of Shri Ram 3 times. And so the king was happy. He left. And when the father came out of his samadhi, the son was very excited to tell what advice he has given. He was very proud that he's given such a beautiful advice. And instead of being happy, the sadhu was completely enraged, and he completely explained to his son that you have no idea what value the name of Ram carries. Only once chanting the name of Ram would have been enough. There is no need to chant the name 3 times if you have full faith. So the son himself had to learn what it means to the true value of the name. If you really chant the name of Ram with full faith, 1 time is enough. And this is referring generally to any holy name, not just Sri Ram. So when we look at understanding and valuing the holy name and seeing examples of how to transform, the most obvious example that comes to my mind is the one who wrote the Ramacharita, who's Valmiki. And we know from Valmiki, for me, it's the most clear example of transformation. Because he was born and grew up as Ratnakar, and he became, after having his family, he became very feared. He started to become a thief. He started to act unrighteous just to support his family. He thought that he has to do everything necessary, and it doesn't matter the righteousness, and it doesn't matter the good things he does, as long as he provides for his family. So he started to steal, to rob people, to kill people, just for the benefit of his family, because he loved his family so dearly. And so one day, Narada walked around in the forest, and Ratnakar, he tried to rob him. So Narada told him, you know that all of these things that you do for your family, do you think that any of them will share your karma that you bring with you after you die? And Ratnakar was, yeah, for sure they will. And Narada explained to him that the karma that you create is only yours to bear, and nobody will share it with you. And he didn't want to believe. So he went home and he asked his kids and his wife, will you share my karma that I've created to serve you, to serve my family? And all of them said no. You can carry your own karma. Your duty is to care for your family. We don't share your karma. You share your own karma. And so he was so shocked and he was so terrified that they will not support him, even though he has supported them his whole life. And so he went back to Narada. And he asked Narada for his instructions. So Narada told him to chant the name of Ram. But because he was so sinful, he could not even pronounce the name of Ram. So what did Narada told him? Chant Mara, 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 which means death. And so he went into meditation to focus on this. And as you chant Mara, 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 over time, it changed to Rama, 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 Rama. And he did so intense tapas that over time, all of his sins were transformed by the name. And as he was sitting constantly in meditation, his whole body was covered by anthill. That's why the name Valmiki. Valmiki means the anthill. And so he comes out of his anthill transformed by the holy name. So to truly change, we need to close all of the doors that we've left behind us. We should not look back and have escape routes. We need to close all of the doors that our mind can escape to. Just like Valmiki, he didn't look back. He trusted his guru and fully transformed his life through chanting the name of Ram. And we can see here also the focus and the discipline that he had, and this determination to change. It's the same determination that we need to develop to be able to change. And Guruji shows us this so many times. The next story I wanted to share is of Kabir. Kabir is such a beautiful example because he's not only a Hindu, he was born into a Muslim family. And he specifically seems to refer to Ram more often to the name rather than the person. But why I like the story of Kabir so much is because he, for me, shows so beautifully the connection between God, the Guru, and the Nam, the name. So he was begging to be initiated by Ramananda, his Guru. He was literally refused to be initiated, to have the sight of the Guru. And he kept coming back, and insisting to be initiated by the Guru. And eventually the Guru blessed him, and he gave him the name of Ram. And he completely immersed himself into the name. And in many of his poems and many of his writings, like I mentioned, Kabir connects to Ram way more to the name than to the person himself. And he says that Ram's name is realizing God's presence within ourselves, is realizing the name in ourselves. There's one of the poems where he says, just as the musk deer searches the forest for the scent that resides within it, so does the world fail to see Rama dwell within their hearts. So this shows perfectly how this whole journey is about the inner journey, what Guruji always says. It's about this finding the way from the mind to the heart, to make this journey within. The same like the deer here, that can smell the scent, but they cannot find it. The same way God is inside of us, and we're always looking to the outside to find, but where we truly need to look, it's inside of us. And so again, the name of God is God Himself. We should not take the name for granted. So, coming back to the name of Ram, the name of Ram carries all of the light sources that we have on planet Earth. In Sanskrit, the Ra is associated with the fire and the purification. The fire that also symbolizes the sun, the fire of the sun, and the heat. Ma represents the peace and the bliss, and it also represents the moon. So we can see that all the light sources that we have are connected in this one name. And so the same way, Rāma is the one that brings this light out from inside of us. The Sanskrit language is so profound, and it's said to be the perfect language that cannot be improved upon. And it's a direct language into reality. So it's a direct transformation from vibration into language. So Rāma refers to that ultimate truth, that by chanting, you manifest Him into your life. You manifest Him and this light and this power inside of your heart to realize the divine. So often we sing all of the prayers, we sing all of the bhajans, we chant all of the names, all of the Vedic chants, but we have no idea what we're chanting. But in some sense, it doesn't matter, because the power of the Sanskrit language, it's a vibrational language. It impacts us even if we don't understand it. Different with many other languages that are not vibrational, like the Sanskrit one, it impacts us much less. And so it's really beautiful to see that nowadays, even modern scientists, they start to research. And there's many examples where they've done tests and brain scans of people who chant people who don't chant, and people who chant specifically Sanskrit language. And you can see so many tests coming out now, and brain scans coming out, where people see the benefits of mere chanting, even if they don't understand it. And where they start realizing that chanting and meditation has a huge impact on the mind. And for me, this topic was always super interesting, because serving Guruji, or serving in general, and having the service attitude, Hanuman for me was always the greatest example of serving. And looking at him as an example, I always try to see how can I improve? How can I improve my service? And how can I share what I learn? And looking at the interest of in the world, seeing the potential of meditation and chanting is amazing. Because even if they might not do it for a spiritual reason, they will do it to benefit their focus, to benefit their mind, to become more clear, to have more clearer goals. But eventually, when you chant and meditate, you will come to a point where you want more. There's no way around it. If your mind becomes more conscious, more focused, more centered, at some point you will ask yourself, is there more? And that's so beautiful about the name and this vibrational language of Sanskrit, that even if we don't understand it always, it has a deep impact on our heart and in our body. And so the same way, when we look at Kriya, Ram is always present already in our body. Ram is permanently established in our body as a beach mantra. And if we have Kriya, or if we know about the chakras, we know that Ram is the beach mantra for Manipura chakra, which is also the solar plexus. Again, here we see that Ram has this fire power in our body. He represents the fire and the sun, and he shows us this willpower, and he awakens his willpower and the spiritual clarity that we need to establish. And so we always benefit from chanting the holy name. The question is often more, how much faith do we have? How much faith do we have in the name? And how much willingness do we have to change, to truly change? There was one more verse from the Shri Guru Granth Sahib, which I wanted to mention, which says, "A large pile of firewood, O siblings of destiny, will burn if a small fire is applied. In the same way, if the name of the Lord, dwells in the heart of a moment, just for a moment, even for an instant, one meets the Lord with ease, O Nanak." This is such a beautiful verse, where there's quite a few things within it. First, when he says, siblings of destiny, the way I see this as representative of the Sangha, the power that the Sangha carries and the importance that Guruji gives to it shows to me that it's very important. And the sense of unity and the shared purpose that we have in the Sanghas, it's so important that it strengthens on our spiritual path. To be alone is very hard. To go this path in a group makes it so much easier and so much joyful. In this verse also for me, it shares this topic of Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Vasudeva Kutumbakam means the whole world comes together for one purpose, comes together unified. Coming back also to what Gita said, and Krishna said in the Gita chapter 3, verse 25, that without attachments, thinking only of the welfare of the world, this is for me what Vasudeva Kutumbakam means. That we come together with this one purpose, with one goal, and we become more humble. We become more humble and serve others than ourselves, over ourselves. And so it was so beautiful to go through these stories of the Ramayana, through the Ramacharita and see how these stories connect. So when we see here that a large pile of firewood will burn if a small fire is applied, reminds me very much of when Hanumanji went to Lanka and he burned down the whole Lanka just with his tail. The same way, Hanuman burns everything that's in our way. Lanka is the mind. Lanka is what stands in our way of the Lord. And so here, Hanuman represents this, that we need to burn down everything that's on our way. And chanting the holy name, chanting Ram's name, is doing that. It gives us the strength to burn everything down that's not beneficial. So Hanuman represents this sadhana, this dedication that is received and that is empowered through the Guru's grace. So even in the same way, Hanuman, he forgot about his powers, or his powers were dormant. And his powers only awakened after he was reminded. And he received the blessing of Sri Ram. Only then he could truly show his potential. And he could only show what he had to give. And all of this only because he had so much faith in Sri Ram, and he wanted only to serve him. The same way, we must establish this service mindset, this service mentality, to serve others upon ourselves. And so, the same way that Hanuman burns everything, the same way the name is contagious. The holy name is contagious. The more we chant the holy name, we don't need to do anything. We become so radiant and shine that it will infect everybody automatically. You will start shining a different energy around you. You don't need to even say anything. People around you will realize that you're different, that you have something else, and they can't really tell what it is. So it's like a secret superpower. And so this verse, for me, reminded me of when, just a year ago, we went to Ayodhya. Everybody will remember the inauguration of the Ram temple in Ayodhya. And even though we speak about the person here, the person Sri Ram, coming back to Ayodhya, he brought this sort of feeling of unity. Everybody is on the same page. And often we forget this in the Sanghas when we have fights or when we try to have our own ideas implemented over others. This inauguration of Sri Ram was so beautiful to see how everybody came together with the same mindset, with the same love for the divine. Wherever you were on the roads, on the plane, when we were landing, everybody was chanting Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, everywhere. And it was so beautiful to see that there was no negativity anywhere. There was no negativity, there was no disagreements. Everybody was there to praise Sri Ram. And I think we need to be more often reminded of our unified goals. Guruji has given us so much, and he's giving us so much strength that we only need to internalize and more often be grateful for. And Ram, he's coming back to Ayodhya in our hearts every day. He's already there. He's waiting for us to come to him. And so I think we all know this, but we need to practice to have more gratitude and more internalize this truth in our hearts. There's one specific lineage, quite small lineage in India. They're called the ramnami samaj. And I'm mentioning them because it's really beautiful. They basically, all they do is chant the name of Ram. Sounds amazing. And they don't only chant the name of Ram, they tattoo the name of Ram on the whole body. The body is the temple that we received. And so they tattoo the name of Ram on their whole body. And the same way they also don't burn their bodies after they passing. Because they have the name of Ram on their body, it's already purified. And so they don't want to burn the body. But why do I bring this example? A few years ago, Guruji received a picture from them, and he got super excited. And so he went around and he started painting all of our faces, and everywhere was Ram, 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 Ram. And this, for me, was very nice in this moment, because it was around the time when he gave me my Ishtadev, and I had no idea who was my Ishtadev. And for many years, Guruji was teasing me, like, who is your Ishtadev? He was asking me. I was like, Guruji, how would I know? You're supposed to tell me, right? And I always told Guruji, my Ishtadev is Krishna, right? And Guruji almost looked at me with like this face of disgust. It's like, why do you think your Ishtadev is Krishna? And for me, it was always very clear, because Guruji manifested this murti of Krishna and he gave it to me. So I was like, I never even wondered why Krishna wouldn't be my Ishtadev. And so after years, he finally told me my Ishtadev is Sitaram. And I was completely confused because I had zero connection with him. I was like, so what should I do with this? So I started reading about Ram. I was starting to chant his name. And this was around this time when he started painting the name of Ram on my face. And while he was chanting, he told me, if you chant the name of Ram 35 million times, I will give you his darshan. I was like, great. So I started calculating how many times I need to chant per day. It will take me years. And then at some point I just realized it doesn't make any sense that I continue counting. But I think his point was to truly absorb in the holy name. The holy name itself is God himself. And we can only reach him truly by the grace and through the grace of the Guru, which we all have. So the only thing that's left is for us to put in our effort. So easy, no? And so we must remind ourselves the value that the holy name has. Today, we have Shivaratri. And so Shiva, it's known to be the greatest bhakta, the greatest devotee of the Lord. And specifically, he always continuously chants the name, focuses on the name of Ram. In the Shiva Rahasya, it states that Rāma has a unique vibrational frequency that instantly connects the chanter to the divine. In general, this is the fact with the holy names, with the Sanskrit names, that they connect the name with the divine, and they connect the mind with the heart immediately. During one of the silent retreats, Guruji mentioned this also specifically, that the name of Ram and the name of Radha, they connect. When you chant it, the vibration is so strong that it immediately connects with the heart. And so Shiva, he always focuses on Ram. And his sadhana is always focused on the name of Ram, more the name of Ram than Ram as the person, because Shiva was already there before Rama incarnated. And also in the Vishnu Sahasranama, we know that at the end of the Vishnu Sahasranama, it says that chanting the name of Ram is equivalent of chanting the whole Vishnu Sahasranama. Of course, he states this at the end of the Vishnu Sahasranama, not in the beginning. But just by this statement, we can see how powerful it is, how powerful the name of Ram is. In the same way, in the Ramacharita in many places, it states how Rama receives these qualities. Rama as the person, he establishes these qualities that the name carries. So he establishes these qualities through his name, of dharma and compassion. And because of this dedication that Shiva has to serve the Lord, he decides to incarnate in Rama's time as to serve him because of his focus on the Lord. And his only desire was to serve Narayana. And so he was incarnated as the son of Anjana and Keshari to serve Sri Ram. And that was the most important thing of his incarnation. So he incarnated because of this desire to serve. And he represents this selfless devotion, his wish to experience love and bhakti that he so well shows in his incarnation, and this dedication that he has to the Lord. When in India, it's very well known when somebody passes away, they often chant ramnami satya hai, which means that truth is the name of Lord Ram. This is always a bit hypocritical, because many, they chant this knowing that after the body has passed. So why do many only chant the name of Ram in this way when he passes away? Why to wait so long? Why to wait until the body is dead to chant the name of Ram, and when it's already too late for the person to connect with him? So it's all about reminding ourselves that this life that we've been given is short. We must take as much as possible the opportunity that we have to serve, and to remember this relationship to build with God, with Guru, God, and the name. And that we don't have time to waste. There's no time to waste. Our life is so short to build this relationship with the Lord. And I think the best example to look at this is the story of Ajamila. The story of Ajamila is that through his life, he was born as a Brahmin, but then through his life, through his family life, he forgot about the divine. And throughout his life, he did not remember the Lord. He did not build this relationship. He did not take the opportunity to build this relationship. But perhaps the thing that changed most of his life is that he through his punya that he had, he called his youngest son Narayana. So he was always calling his son Narayana, and he was so dear to him that once he passed away, in that moment he called out for Narayana, but not to Narayana, but to his son. So then we know how the demons and the gods both come to take him. And he sees all of this happening. And he receives a second chance to be better, to build this relationship. And he takes this opportunity. So once when he comes back to his body, the rest of his remaining life, he completely devoted to Narayana. He completely devoted to building his relationship with the Lord, to be absorbed in the holy name, to do penance. And so I really like the example of Ajamila, because he shows so clearly that we don't have to wait, that we don't have time to waste. And so we've seen these examples of how we can truly transform, and that we don't have time to waste. And to come back to the very beginning of this talk, when we said the problem that we have is that our mind is enslaved. And what we need to do is to transform it. We need to transform our senses and bring our mind to the right place, to feed the mind with the right things. And so there's often a lot of fear of change. And there's a statement that says that fear is 100 miles wide, but only 10-inch deep. What does this mean? It means when we have a problem or a fear, it seems so huge and gigantic, like a big ocean, but it's only 10-inch deep. So once we take a first step into our fear, you start realizing you're not drowning. You're only covered by the ankles. And so you go another step, and you go another step, and you realize you don't drown. And so we need to move forward, and we need to go through our fears. Because if we hold on to the holy name, there's no way we can drown. We have the grace of the Guru. There's no way we can drown. And so we must face our fears in order to change and transform these senses. So we've gone through all of these stories, and coming probably to the last story, which is, to me, one of the most impactful, and that shows the power of Shri Ram more than most other, is obviously Rama Setu story, which is the story where Hanuman is building the bridge, and Hanuman and all the monkeys built the bridge to Lanka to reach Sita. And I like the story so much when we see that Shri Ram comes to help. So he sees Hanuman and all the monkeys bringing the stones. Hanuman is writing the name of Shri Ram on the stone, and the stone will float. And so Shri Ram thinks he will take the stone and he will throw it in the water. He's carrying the stone. He doesn't need to write the name on it because he's carrying the name. So he throws the stone in the water and the stone sinks. So he's confused. And so he gives Hanuman the opportunity to explain. And Hanuman says that when we write the name on the stone, it has to float. But once the stone leaves your hand, there's nothing to hold it. So the name is what has to be written on the stone. The stone represents our heart. When we write Shri Ram's name in our heart, there's nothing that can drown us, nothing that can hold us back from this relationship with the Lord. And so the same way that Hanuman represents this dedication and this effort, and he is the one writing the name of Shri Ram on the stones, we need to write the name of Shri Ram on our hearts so that we cannot drown. And we are always remembered by the name of the Lord. And Hanuman has always inspired me so much by serving Ram, that he always knew what the master wanted before he even expressed his wish. And so I always look up to Hanuman to see how can I improve my service to Guruji. And he sets the bar. He sets the goal of what is possible and what is the best to serve. Chanting Ram's name gives us a instant feeling of gratitude, instant feeling of humility. It ultimately puts us in a state of service. And that's mostly what's missing nowadays, no? When we talk about change, when we talk about changing ourselves, we're talking about changing others. It's impossible if we are thinking always about ourselves. And so we must, through the name, adopt this service mindset, service to others. And Nama Japam is in itself a service in that sense to the world. And the benefit is also that chanting the holy name takes us out of your mental prison. The mind is we are entrapped in our mind, no? In our prison. So we must get out of this prison. And at the same time, chanting Ram's name is the simplest, yet something that we so often take for granted. So even though it's so simple, so many times we forget about it. We take it for granted. We don't put ourselves fully into it. So it's to remind that we should not take it for granted. And as the last benefit is what Guruji speaks about so often, is the importance of the intention. So he speaks so many times about the intention of prayer. Why do we pray? Why do we put our energy into something? It's the intention that matters the most. So if we chant, we can chant mechanically, or we can chant for the benefit of the world. We can chant for the benefit of others. So I want to get to an end of this talk with a reminder from Guruji. I have a short video I want to show with Guruji, because who can explain all of these things better than Guruji himself?
When it reached to that point of longing for that nature of such name of Bhagwan, that intellect automatically have to transform. Once that intellect is transformed into that, it brings the transformation also upon the mind, and when the mind have transformed, it brings the transformation upon all the senses and upon yourself. It transforms itself and it brings it back into the world itself. Then you become like a guide for somebody else. Because you have transformed, your transformation can't be only for yourself. Automatically when you transform, you become like a transformation for the others also. You start to inspire others to transform. Then your life becomes meaningful. But you have to become aware of his help in your daily life. How he presents himself to you, day to day, as a reminder of his presence. But we are so busy, our mind is so preoccupied with the world, but we don't perceive his presence in our life. Even when we say, yes, we are spiritual, only we are spiritual when we have time. That's why he took the form of sound as a reminder. So all the instrument, all the sound can make you, remind you and transform you into that being itself. But you have to notice that. You have to be aware of that. You can start to feel that vibration emanating from everything. That's what the Shastra said, no? At the beginning of the Veda, Bhagavan said, but I manifest myself and infuse myself in all. How can we come to that point? If our mind is so disturbed, our mind is so preoccupied. Only when you start to take time and absorb into that. Because of that transformation of your intellect, when your intellect start to take upon that divine nature as a reminder of your inner transformation from human to divine, and allowing you to journey into that spheres which your mind have not even have the capacity to visualize it. So take your time, be absorbed into that cosmic sound inside of you. Even if you do it for 5 minutes a day, and during this 5 minutes, I'm not just saying, Guruji have said to chant Ram, 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 Ram. Oh, Krishna, 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 Krishna. You see that very often. No. Take your time. Even if it's just 5 minutes, put your alarm, doesn't matter. You will come to a point that even the alarm is ringing, you will not hear it. Probably you are deep sleeping. But take the time to chant. And when you're chanting, be in a relaxed state, not in a state of tension.
So basically, we could have just watched the video and then finished the lecture from the beginning. But Guruji says it really nicely here, no? If we give the holy name truthfully to our mind, the mind doesn't have any other chance than surrender. And this is so beautiful. And to almost conclude, the very, very last verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam says it very nicely. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Hari. So congregational chanting of whose holy names destroys all sinful reactions, and the offering of obeisances unto whom relieves all material suffering. So it says everything here in this verse, that through chanting, through singing, especially together, we offer everything that we have to Him. And He will take all of the suffering, all of the material desires and sufferings. And so, to remember, the name of God is God Himself. And we must always remember and not take this for granted. The name truly transforms ourselves, and that's ultimately how we can change others. There's no other way that we can change the world and people around us, but not starting with ourselves first. We need to transform ourselves first before we can bring this light, like Rudy says, to others. And Guruji put so much importance on the sanghas, on coming together, because we can grow so much faster and stronger as a sangha than by ourselves. And so, what would be talking about the name of Ram, talking about chanting, singing the holy names without singing at the end also. So since a few years, it started when Guruji was in Mauritius for a few months, and we were watching the live streams, and they were singing kirtan over and over every evening, live stream kirtans. And we were sitting here, we're kind of missing having good kirtan. And so we decided that at least once a week, we want to come together only for the purpose of singing, of having good kirtan. Because even in the prayers, we have the prayers, maybe we have time for one bhajan. But it's not the purpose of the prayers to come only for the purpose of singing kirtan. And so we decided every Saturday evening, we come together to do kirtan for 1 hour. And for me, it's the most beautiful time. And I've not missed a single day when I was here. Because everybody who comes, we engage in singing His name. For 1 hour, everybody's clapping, dancing, fully engaged with all the senses into the name. The only thing, and for me, why I come back every single week, is for that. And the moment that I appreciate the most is when we sit at the very end for 5 minutes, like we really said. Take only 5 minutes and resonate the name in your heart. So after we engaged all of the senses, singing for 1 hour, drumming, singing, clapping, dancing, we sit silently for 5 minutes and only enjoy the vibration of the name inside our heart. And this is the moment that I look for every single week. And so to finish this, I think we can try to do the same. So we finish with 3 minutes of kirtan. But I want everybody to not sing and keep singing. If you want, stand, but at least clap. You must engage by the minimum by clapping. Okay? It's only very short. We don't have 1 hour not to do kirtan. Unless Adarka wants. At least 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Everybody should be much more engaged because we don't have 1 hour. And then after the kirtan, I want everybody to sit down for 5 minutes, and please try not to make any sounds. You will want to cough or make noises. Try really not to. Just enjoy sitting down and have this silence and chant internally the name that you feel close to. If it's Ram, you can chant Ram. If it's Shiva, feel free to choose whichever name you like. But try really to not make any noises for a few minutes and really just enjoy that moment. Take a breath. Jai